Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Y'all see me struggling? Put this daggone seatbelt on because my daggone jacket so big. Yesterday I had on the little green one, but it's cold out here. It's like 30 degrees or something. Yeah, 31 degrees. It's crazy. So crazy, so crazy. But, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm running a little behind this morning. And I don't know why. Like, I didn't oversleep or... Y'all see this coat swallow me up. And I need to go check the mailbox. I ain't gonna really do it. I feel like it's gonna have to get checked when I get back. Because I ain't gonna... Woo. Y'all should see me struggling to get in this daggone car. Crazy. Whew. I know this is crazy because I got this big old New York jacket to wear in Texas, but it's 30 degrees out here. Like I ain't got the time. I'm in a pretty good mood this morning. I think I'm a little bit more awake. I don't know what it is for real, but thank God for it, okay? Put that spirit on me. But yeah, we're gonna check the mailbox when we get back, because I can't slide up out this car, because it wasn't gonna be no problem. So just slide up out. I was gonna slide up out this car. I'm not doing that right now. Whew, it's already a workout, maneuvering this daggone wheel or whatever. But yeah, what are y'all doing? What y'all got going on? Talk to me. How's school? I think some of y'all, let's see, we in January, so y'all boards are next month. I think if they didn't move them, I don't know, y'all, they be talking a lot about like changing the dates and blah 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 blah, or like adding dates, which I'll check on it because I'm kind of curious to know. Okay, little dears, I'm not gonna hit y'all. I might though. Y'all, that's all of you. Okay, now hold your sister hand. Shoot. But yeah, boards are coming up. How exciting! How, like, that means that y'all are like almost done. I know it's really not exciting to take boards. Like, I wasn't trying to be funny, but we all know it's a hassle. We all know it's a hassle. We all know that it's very stressful to take boards. But hey, it does mean you're closer to being finished though, because basically after you take boards, what you got? What is it? March, April. Yeah, after you take boards, it's just kind of like getting those last kind of clinical hours, because April is quad A, which I don't know, that kind of takes up some time too. So you kind of cruising after that. Like, you got a little bit of time when you try to get the last little hours you need or whatever. But after that, I mean, as far as like the difficulty of finishing, you kind of done. The last minute presentations or whatever else you got left. But April is a breeze, and May you just like, all right, I'm just waiting on y'all at that point. So y'all are getting close. My video that I made about studying for the boards before is still pretty accurate, okay? And I say that because when you're doing this whole anesthesia thing, they're just foundational facts. You know, there may be some changes in, like, you know, there may be some changes in, like, not necessarily like the use of the drugs, but maybe like, you know, how they like update the articles and stuff and be like, hey, actually this drug, we found that this drug works really good in diabetic patients or whatever. And I don't know how often they're updating that information on the exam, but what I will say to kind of combat that and make sure that you're kind of staying up to date is whenever y'all buy like stuff like which at this point you would have already had it, you know, but whenever y'all are buying like the books, like the Halls latest edition. Get the latest edition, obviously. But let's say you already have the last edition, like let's just say somebody gave it to you or something. Before you go spend your money on the latest one, just kind of like, sometimes you can see like a little sample of the new one, or like if you go in the store or whatever. I don't know if they carry them in Barcelona or whatever. But anyway, sometimes they'll have like a sample, especially if you do it on Amazon, of the questions, and just compare it to the one you have, because sometimes it may just be off by maybe like, I don't know, 10 questions. Maybe it's only 10 new questions. And to me, I don't think that's worth getting a whole new book over, you know, like save some coin. Remember to limit y'all's resources. I know that sounds crazy, but it's not really helpful when you have 1,000,008 resources. It's just not. So use the ones that are going to be most helpful. And like I said, the ones I mentioned in my first video, those are still pretty accurate. So I would use the hauls for practicing the questions, and I would use just for like a really quick review. And when I say really quick review, I kind of mean like things, because at this point you shouldn't be reviewing stuff you already know, you know. You should be only kind of diving into things that you're not that comfortable with. And so for that, I would look at blasting the boards or something. I think that's what it's called. I would look at that to clean up those areas where you're just not as comfortable, okay? And then obviously for like, you know, everyday, like day-to-day kind of quick review, just give you the facts. Definitely the hauls outline. And that's kind of it. Those are all of my recommendations as far as like finishing out your study period. Hone in on those things you don't know with blasting the boards, because typically those chapters are like maybe 3 pages and it reads really easy, okay? And I need something that reads really easy. So I'm telling y'all, I'm not reading Miller over some stuff I already don't understand. Like, no shade, but Miller is not an easy read. It's thick, it's wordy. I done forgot what the first sentence was. No, I'm gonna go through blasting the boards, but that's just me. If you can read something thick like Miller and have it stick, hey, get to it, I guess. But I think it's gonna save you more time with blasting the boards, just because the chapters are so short. So the stuff you don't know, clean it up with that. And they do have questions in that as well, like at the end of the chapters. And it's probably like 6 questions at the end of each chapter or whatever. So if you want to look at those too, like, that's fine. But mostly the hauls is pretty good about the questions. I would use the hauls for the questions. At this point, I would review the hauls like to the point where if I read the question and read the question all the way through, but to the point where I kind of already know the answer before the question is done, right? That's how much I would be on those. And then if you're just sitting in, if you're just kind of sitting in the OR, or I'm not gonna say sitting in the OR, because y'all kind of like still, y'all are kind of taking those cases over now. So, you know, I don't know that you can have the focus to sit and study. It's not like in the beginning, but like, let's say you're sitting for lunch or you're waiting somewhere, you know, that's when I would use that outline, because it's just a quick little run of like all the facts. It's just straight facts for your memorization. And I mean, that's kind of it at this point, you know. That's it. Like, that's gonna be my best advice to y'all for studying for the February exams. Someone had asked me a couple days ago, on average, how many hours did I spend studying? And that was kind of hard, but let me put it like this. Basically, if you are in first year, right, let's talk past boot camp. Like, let's just talk like you already did your summer boot camp, which is when they throw all of that new material at you and you don't know what's going on. When they start throwing you in clinic, so that way you're in clinic and you have lecture. So typically what I would do was I would get out of clinic, do whatever lecture it was, take me a little break, because at that point, like, my mind is tired. I've been trying to focus and learn all the machines and learn what's going on and stuff like that. So at that point, I'm a little bit overstimulated. I'm a little bit overwhelmed. So I would take a break until your mind kind of like calms down a little bit to where you feel like you can kind of start anew. Like, get you something to eat, take a little nap. Okay, maybe not. I don't know about take a little nap, because if you anything like me, you ain't getting back up. So maybe, like, just get you something to eat, rest a little bit, watch a little show, maybe watch about one episode of a show or something like that. And then I would study for, I want to say, let's say about 4 to 5 hours, because let's just say I started at 6. I was probably in the bed about 10, 11 o'clock. Because at that point, at 10, 11 o'clock, I know that I'm not taking in any more information. Like, as much as I want to stay up and get through it, like, it's just not going to happen. And you got to be realistic, okay? Like, why waste your time being up, losing sleep, and you're not holding information? It's not productive at all. Like, because you turned a few pages and you made it to, and you don't understand nothing. Like, it's not productive, I'm telling you. So I would probably do about 4 to 5 hours. If I started at 6, I'd be done about I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock. That's kind of how, like, the daily, like, hey, I went to clinic, I had a lecture, and I have to do it again tomorrow. So, and with that, I would split it up into, like, if you can read ahead of the game and watch the pre-lectures, I would spend maybe, like, in that study time, in those 4 hours, I would make sure that I did that, like, incorporated that, and did some review of what we did before. So even if you saying, like, okay, if it's 4 hours and maybe it takes you, probably not going to take you that long to do the pre-lecture. So let's just say it takes you an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most, to do the like, to kind of like prepare yourself for the next day. I would do that, but before that, I would kind of review everything that I did, like everything that we talked about before, and I would save the new lecture stuff for save that for the end, just so it's like fresher on your mind. Let me see. It's me having to check if we straight every time I park this car, please. Yeah, I would save that so that's like fresher, ready to go in the morning or whenever you do have your lecture. So that's how that would go. That's typically like that would typically be like my Monday through at least Thursday, because Friday is a different animal, because honestly, you're not going to clinic or doing whatever on the weekend. So if you want to take Friday off and just rest, like, I would do that. And then on the weekends, if I didn't have like an exam or anything like that, then I would probably say I probably did 6 hours, but they were just more spread out, because obviously you have more time in the day. So let's just say you could literally split it up into 2 hour, 2 hour, 2 hour, or whatever you feel comfortable doing. I'm a person who, like, I have better morning times, like, because that way I can kind of have a slow morning, have my coffee, kind of set up the vibe, and then get it done. So that's how that kind of looked for me on the weekend. And if I did have an exam, that 4 to 5 hours probably changed to about 8 hours, because let's say I studied my typical 6 to 10. After that, I'm going to sleep. But me, I'm gonna wake back up, and I'm probably gonna wake back up around 3 or 4 in the morning. That's just me. I'm not telling y'all to do that. That's just kind of what helped me, because I feel like when I was waking up at 4, for some reason, that was when my mind was most like, hey, I can take up all this information. So your time may not be 4 in the morning. You need to find whenever your mind is like, hey, I can get this, I can take in this information. Mine just so happened to be 4, and that was kind of helpful for me, because then I could just wake up, maybe do like another hour or 2 or something like that, and then keep it moving for exam times. So with the exams, you're gonna have to kind of figure that out with your schedule. But I definitely was doing like 8 hours if I knew I had an exam coming up, and typically I probably like did a few hours, went to sleep, woke up, started again. Like, to be honest, that's just what I did. That's kind of what worked best for me. And that's how that went. And that's kind of like your that was just like my day-to-day. As far as like studying for the boards, depending on what rotation you're in and like who your clinical instructor is, I'm gonna be honest with you, they should know that you studying for boards is prioritizing clinic, because if you don't pass boards, you doing all this for what? I mean, not to be funny, like, you, even if you don't pass boards, like, you can go back and you can take it again, but it's just kind of like, why have to do that? So you want to really kind of prioritize studying for your boards over technically like your clinical experience. Like, past the boards, you still got like a month, at least like a month, 2 months, a month and a half to go back and refresh up your clinical skills or whatever like that. So let's just say you get out of clinic at between 1 and 3 o'clock p.m. Okay. Again, take a break, you know, kind of refresh your mind and study. And if you're telling your instructor, and they're a good instructor, preceptor, that, hey, I have boards, I'm studying for them, I don't know, like, I would say, like, probably bring like your questions book, just to kind of like your Hall's book and that Hall outline, and give it to them, because there's a lot of downtime at this point, because you're in second year and like you're not as like I said, your priorities have shifted a little bit. Bring like that outline, bring the questions, and just have them ask you the questions so you can answer them. Like, that's what I used to do. I used to sit in OR, tell them I'm studying for boards, or they will pull up random questions to kind of like help me work through them, especially if you can't leave earlier, so that way you still like not wasting your time, and you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm off from clinic, I'm tired, but I didn't know studying for the boards. Okay, so you really want to maximize your time, and it's gonna suck, like I'm not gonna lie to you, December, January, and then few days before you take the test, they suck, because it's like you're anxious and you want to get it over with, and you feel, obviously you are running out of time, so you're gonna be tired, and you're gonna feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on, and it's just a very, very intense time, like those few months. But if you do those things like I said, you'll be fine. I think I don't even think, like, I know that my issue when I took the boards the first time was I didn't know how to prepare for it. I didn't know, like, I had too many resources, and I think my time management was fine, but it was just too many resources, so it was too much information, right? And then when I actually took the exam, then I could understand, like, okay, this is kind of how it's set up. It's definitely more factual than it is like the details I was going over was just too much for the exam at the time. Okay, so I know that screwed me. Okay, also there's some topics that y'all don't really review as much in your clinical experience or lectures, and that's regional. I don't know why they don't spend as much time as regional when it's definitely regional on those boards, but they don't. So I would say, you know, that might be one of those topics that you want to like spend a little bit extra time for. And most of the questions on the board about that was kind of like, hey, like such and such might have like broke their face or something, what bones in the like facial bones. Like, I'm not saying you gotta know as much as you can, because I'm not gonna be like, oh, you don't gotta know this, you don't gotta know that. Just know as much as you can, and kind of go from there. Facial bones, and then like if they be like, oh, you know, we're doing a knee replacement, which blocks are used to block these nerves, or which blocks do you want to use, you know, so that you make sure you have coverage of the certain body part or whatever that they're trying to replace. So there are questions like that, and typically like it's like a set, like it's like multiple choice, but it's like a set of nerves. So then you want to think about your blocks and which blocks cover those sets. That's pretty much how the regional goes. And then the other part of regional is obviously you have the medicine side of it. So like if you have like mixing the drugs, basically like your local anesthetics, which I know this pharmacy, but that can come up in regional too. So, you know, knowing like your last, and just like, hey, you know, bupivacaine with epi versus without epi, and just kind of knowing how to dilute, those were on there too. So yeah, but anyway, I'm getting ready to go in here real quick. I hope it's real quick, y'all. We should be on like the upper end of the list, because we was on the lower end of the list yesterday. So I'm finna go in here. I got time to get breakfast or coffee or whatever I want to do before I start giving breaks. So that's what we're gonna do, and I will try to pick y'all up when I can. I see y'all.